Hello, in this video I will talk about the stages of child development and the skills children acquire in these stages. Child development is a process that lasts from birth to adolescence. In this process, children go through different developmental milestones in physical, cognitive, language, social and emotional domains. Although each child's development rate and characteristic is different, generally they acquire common skills in certain age ranges. Now let's examine these skills by stages in more detail. 0 to 2 years old stage. In this stage, children experience the fastest change in motor development domain. Motor development refers to the ability to control and coordinate the movements of the body. At birth, their movements are based on reflexes, which are involuntary responses to stimuli. For example, they suck when something touches their mouth, or they grasp when something touches their palm. As they grow, they develop more voluntary and purposeful movements. By the time they are 2 years old, they can walk, run, climb stairs, throw and catch a ball, use a spoon, hold a pencil and draw simple shapes. These are examples of gross motor skills, which involve large muscle groups. They also develop fine motor skills, which involve small muscle groups. For example, they can pick up small objects with their fingers, stack blocks, turn pages of a book and manipulate toys. In cognitive development domain, babies grasp the existence of objects, understand cause-effect relationships, do classification and matching, answer simple questions and use their imagination. Cognitive development refers to the ability to think, learn, and solve problems. At birth, babies have limited cognitive abilities. They mainly rely on their senses and reflexes to explore the world. As they grow, they develop more complex cognitive abilities. By the time they are 2 years old, they can grasp the concept of object permanence, which means that objects continue to exist even when they are out of sight. They can also understand that their actions have consequences. For example, they can push a button to make a sound or pull a string to move a toy. They can also do simple classification and matching tasks. For example, they can sort objects by color or shape or match pictures with sounds. They can also answer simple questions such as "What is this?" or "Where is the ball?" They can also use their imagination to create scenarios or stories with their toys or pretend to be someone else. In language development domain, babies start their communication skills with crying at birth and develop them by expanding their vocabulary by the time they are 2 years old. Language development refers to the ability to understand and produce spoken and written words. At birth, babies can only communicate their needs and feelings by crying, cooing, or smiling. As they grow, they develop more sophisticated language skills. By the time they are 2 years old, they can say their first words, make 2-3-word sentences, imitate sounds, sing songs, and understand and follow simple instructions. They can also use gestures, facial expressions, and body language to communicate. They can also recognize and name common objects, people, and animals. They can also learn new words from their environment or from books and stories. In social-emotional development domain, babies show dependence on parents, shyness or fear towards strangers, express themselves, recognize and share their emotions, understand others' emotions and empathize, choose playmates and learn play rules. Social-emotional development refers to the ability to form and maintain relationships with others and to regulate one's own emotions and behaviors. At birth, babies are dependent on their parents or caregivers for their survival and comfort. They form a strong attachment bond with them and seek their presence and attention. As they grow, they develop more independent and social skills. By the time they are 2 years old, they can show shyness or fear towards unfamiliar people or situations. They can also express themselves by using words, gestures, or facial expressions. They can also recognize and name their own emotions such as happy, sad, angry, or scared. They can also share their emotions with others by using words or actions. They can also understand others' emotions by observing their facial expressions or tone of voice. They can also empathize with others by feeling what they feel or offering comfort or help. They can also choose playmates based on their preferences or interests. They can also learn play rules such as taking turns, sharing, or cooperating. 2 to 6 years old stage. In this stage, children acquire the ability to do finer movements in motor development domain. For example, they can button up, zip up, tie their shoelaces, use scissors, draw pictures, start writing, and ride a bike. These are examples of fine motor skills that require more precision and coordination of small muscle groups. They also improve their gross motor skills by doing more complex movements such as jumping, skipping, hopping, or balancing. They also develop more strength, speed, and endurance in their physical activities. In cognitive development domain, children start to think abstractly. For example, they learn numbers, colors, letters, do counting, do simple addition-subtraction operations, use their memory, solve problems, and reason logically. They also develop their pre-operational thinking, which means that they can use symbols and words to represent objects and ideas. However, they still have some limitations in their thinking such as egocentrism, animism, set ration, and irreversibility. Egocentrism means that they have difficulty taking others' perspectives and assume that everyone sees the world as they do. Animism means that they attribute life and feelings to inanimate objects or natural phenomena. Set ration means that they focus on one aspect of a situation and ignore others. Irreversibility means that they cannot understand that some actions can be reversed or undone. In language development domain, children expand their vocabulary even more. For example, they can make longer and more complex sentences, ask and answer questions, improve their expression skills, learn speech rules, and learn a new language. They can also use language for different purposes such as informing, requesting, persuading, or entertaining. They can also use different forms of language such as narratives, descriptions, explanations, or jokes. They can also understand different types of language such as literal, figurative, or sarcastic. They can also learn a new language if they are exposed to it regularly and in a meaningful context. In social-emotional development domain, children form their self-concept. For example, they can describe themselves, recognize their strengths and weaknesses, discover their interests and talents, develop self-confidence and self-respect. They also improve their relationships with others. For example, they can make friends, cooperate, show leadership, compete, resolve conflicts, follow rules, and learn appropriate behaviors. They also develop their moral reasoning, which means that they can understand right and wrong and the reasons behind them. They also develop their emotional regulation, which means that they can control their impulses and cope with their feelings in a healthy way.